today's enrichment lesson is an extension of what you learned last time, FOIL, but essentially FOIL only works when you're multiplying two binomials together. So let's just refresh our memory on FOIL. Remember, FOIL stands for the acronym for first, outer, inner, last. So 5a times 2a is 10a squared. Outer is plus 5a. Inner is minus 2a. So plus 5a minus 2a is plus a. And then last is minus 2. Some of you might have to do the in-between step, and that's okay. So now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use the distributive property to multiply. Distributive property, if you recall from grade 9 polynomials, the term was used to for multiplying and dividing when you have a term in front of the brackets and you're distributing the multiplication or distributing the division to both terms. So we're going to take 5a and distribute it, the multiplication, to both the 2a and the 1. So 5a times 2a is 10a squared. 5a times 1 is plus 5a. Then I'm going to take, and I use a different color, I'm going to take the minus 2 and I'm going to distribute it to the two terms as well. So minus 2 times 2a is minus 4a. Minus 2 times positive 1 is minus 2. And then we combine the middle term and we get 10a squared plus a minus 2. Notice we get the same answer. And this is just showing you, actually, if you look at what I did with the distributive property, I actually did the first, the outer, the inside, and the last. So essentially, the FOIL was just keeping track of the distributive property for you. So here's the thing. The technique of FOIL can only be used when multiplying two binomials together. That's the only situation that you can actually use FOIL. So the distributive property always works, no matter what. So although you're doing distributive property, you could be, in fact, doing FOIL when you had two binomials. But what I'm trying to make clear here is that distributive property will work for all of them. So what we're going to do, and this is slightly what we did in grade 9, one term times all three, except maybe we have a different exponent here. So what's 3n times 2n squared? So 3 times 2 is 6. Do you remember the exponent laws? If I'm multiplying n times n squared, that's n to the power 1 times n to the power 2. And you add the exponents, you get n to the power 3. Second one, 3n times 4n. Well, 3 times 4 is 12. N times n is n squared. 3n times 5 is 15n. And then check to see if there's any like terms that we can put together. So now the next scenario, this would be now a grade 10 concept when we have a binomial times a trinomial. So we have to keep track of what we're multiplying. So I'm going to take this first term and multiply it by all three terms. Okay? So 5p times 3p squared is going to give you 15p to the power 3. 5p times 2p, well, 5 times 2 is 10. P times p is p squared. Then the last distributive property of 5p is 5p times 4, which gives you 20p. Now I'm going to change my color, and we're going to do the next distributive property. And that would be plus 2 times all three terms. So 2 times 3p is 6p squared. 2 times 2p is plus 4p. 2 times 4 is plus 8. Now you can see there's some like terms this time. We have a 10p squared and a 6p, and we have a, 6p squared, and a 20p and a 4p that we combine. So our final answer would be 15p to the power 3. 10 and 6 make 16p squared. 20p and 4p make 24p plus 8. All right, so let's move on to multiplying polynomials with negative terms. So the reason why I separated this is you got to really watch your signs when you're multiplying, remembering that a negative times a negative is a positive. A positive times a negative is a negative. Okay, so we'll start out simple. one term times all three. So negative 5p times 3p squared would be negative 15p to the power 3. Negative 5p times positive 2p, so negative times positive is a negative again, so negative 10p squared. And then negative 5p times negative 4, a negative times negative, is a positive this time, 20p. All right, so we're going to take the first term and multiply to all three terms. So if you want, at this point, you can pause the video and try it on your own and then play it when you're ready to compare your answer to mine. Otherwise, you can continue watching at my pace. So 4n times minus 2n would be negative 8n to the power 3. 4n times minus 4n is minus 16n squared. 4n times minus 5 is minus 20n. I'll show you a little trick as well when you're doing the second one. Sometimes it's easier to line up the like terms right below it. So I'll show you that technique. Again, we have to take the second term and multiply it. So minus 2 times minus 2n is positive 4n squared. So I'm going to put it right underneath the n squared. So then I'm lining up the like terms. You don't have to do this, but it's just sometimes it's nice to line them up. Negative 2 times negative 4n is plus 8n. Again, I'm lining it up. And then the last one is plus 2 times plus 5 is plus 10. So, and I line up, we have all the like terms lined up. So negative 8n to the power 3. A minus 16 plus 4 is a minus 12n squared. A minus 20 plus 8 is a minus 12n plus 10. And that would be my final answer. Okay, now for a trinomial times a trinomial. So this is to the extreme extent of how much we would be doing this. So you might want to try this and pause the video so you don't see how I do it and then compare it afterwards. So again, it's distributive property. So b times 4b squared would be 4b to the power 4. Why is it b to the power 4? Because b squared times b squared, you add the exponents, that is b to the power 4. So then we have b squared times 3b, so that would be 3b to the power 3. Then we have b squared times minus 1, so that would be minus 1b squared, but I'm just going to not write the 1. Okay, I'm going to change my color. I'm going to do the next term. I'm going to line them up so they're like terms are underneath each other. So minus 7b times 4b squared would be minus 28b cubed. Minus 7b times positive 3b would be minus 21b squared. And then minus 7b times minus 1 would be plus 7b. Okay, I'm going to change my color again. And we're going to do the third term now. I'll show it this way. 8 times 4b squared is plus 32b squared. 8 times 3b is plus 24b. And then 8 times minus 1 is minus 8. So now that I have this all lined up, it's pretty easy to do like terms. So then we get 4b to the power 4 plus 3b cubed minus 28b cubed is minus 25b cubed. Ooh, this one's a tough one maybe. Minus 1 minus 21 is minus 22 plus 32 would be plus 10b squared. Plus 7b plus 24b is plus 31b minus 8. There you go.